Good morning, good afternoon, good evening, wherever this video finds you. Welcome to Building the Snooze. I am Asante Bay with my co-host Louis Collier. How you doing there, Louis?
What's up? A very eventful day today.
Oh, yes, it has been. Yes, it has been. In more ways than one. More ways than one. So, let's start with the news.
Sure.
President Trump speaks at House GOP event at Trump Doral International in Miami, Florida. Because he's going to be signing 4 new executive orders. Let's see what they're talking about here.
A strong defense. And in a little while, I'll be signing 4 new executive orders. First is that I'm directing our new Secretary of Defense, Pete Hegseth, who's going to be great, by the way. Thank you for the support. Thank you very much for the support. You really did support him greatly. I think he's going to be fantastic. I know him very well. I think he's going to be fantastic. He's what we need to immediately begin the construction of a state-of-the-art Iron Dome missile defense shield, which will be able to protect Americans. You know, we protect other countries, but we don't protect ourselves. And when Ronald Reagan wanted to do it many years ago, luckily we didn't. We didn't have the technology then. It was a concept, but we didn't. And now we have phenomenal technology. You see that with Israel. We're out of 319 rockets. They knocked down just about every one of them. So I think the United States is entitled to that. And everything will be made right here in the USA, 100%. And next, to ensure that we have the most lethal fighting force in the world, we will get transgender ideology the hell out of our military. It's going to be gone. In addition, we will stop our service members from being indoctrinated with radical left ideologies such as critical race theory. We're going to stop it. It's already been stopped. It's already been halted, totally halted. And finally, we will offer full reinstatement to any service member who was expelled from the armed forces due to the COVID vaccine mandate. And we will restore them to their former rank with full pay. And I think we're going to have a lot of people that join. And one thing I'll say, if you looked at our recruitment over the last week or so, 2 weeks, it's through the roof. You know, we were having a lot of people weren't signing. We were having a hard time recruiting people because they were looking at these people that they were supposed to be their leaders, and they weren't happy. They didn't like people that fall going upstairs. If you're going to fall, at least go downstairs from the plane. That triple fall, I use that thing in more ads. I didn't have an ad where I didn't put that in. Just a little quick 1, 2, 3. Reminded me of Joe Frazier when he went down, right? George Foreman, Joe Frazier. 3 falls in a matter of seconds. I said, can you speed it up a little bit? People are getting tired of it. But no, we have now the best recruitment we've seen in a long time. There's a tremendous number of people wanting to sign up. January 20th, 2025 was a turning point in American history. Starting last week, we're ending years of incompetence, radicalism, and betrayal. And we're ushering in the most exhilarating era of reform and renewal in the 250-year history of our country. And just in conclusion, I just want to say that this has been a very exciting and will be a very exciting new chapter. There's nothing we cannot achieve as long as the Republican Party remains united. I hope you can remain united. And it's one thing I give the Democrats a lot of credit for because, you know, they have lousy policy. I think, frankly, half of them are totally crazy. But they do stick together. They stick together on stuff that nobody can. I mean, how can you want prisons emptied out into our country? They stick together. They stick together on everything. Impeachment hoax number 1, impeachment hoax number 2. They stick together. Although I must tell you, you gave me great support during those 2 problems. Those 2 fake witch hunts, which have now turned out to be totally fake and disgusting. But you gave me tremendous support. But the Republican Party has to stick together. We just can't have people going, 1, 2, 3 votes. And we don't have that luxury. It would be different if we had a 20-point, 30-person majority, but we don't. We have to help leadership. And, you can be assured that you have certain philosophies. that if you're going to have most of the people, almost all of them, voting for something, you're going to be okay. It's not going to be bad. You have to stick together. It's the one thing that I would say we don't get very high marks. Everything is so hard. We always have 2 or 3 or 5 or something, people that just don't want to do it. And you just got to do it. You just got to do it. Make life easy. Just got to do it. So right now we have a very special period because we have the House, we have the Senate, and we have the White House. And we're a team, and we're a really good team. And I appreciate so many times, and like even with Mike, I called 3 or 4 people, and they said, okay, sir, I'll do it. I'm going to vote. I'm going to vote positively. And they're very happy they did now. But when I called, we've gotten such a great response. We just had that happen with Pete Hegseth, and we have it happening with others. But we really appreciate it with the House. The House has been, it's a very difficult situation when you have that small a majority. But in a certain way, it brings you together. It actually can unify more than anybody would ever know. And a victory is sweeter, as they say, because of it. And I think we're going to have a lot of victories, but we have to stick together. We have to work together. We have to fight together. And we're going to win together. We're going to win like never before. We have a chance to win like never before. As long as we stay united, the 119th Congress will be remembered as the most successful and accomplished Republican majority in American history. I believe that. I think we have a chance of doing it. All right? And in January 2027, we will have a larger Republican House, a larger Republican Senate, and our country will be richer, safer, stronger, prouder, greater, freer, and ever before. I really think that we're going to have some big victories coming up, and I'm going to be helping every single one of you. I'm raising a lot of money, and I want to use it for the House, and I want to use it for the Senate. I raised a lot of money. And, I told my people, we raised $1.7 billion. They raised $2.6 billion. They have the unions with, checkoffs, which is always tough, $10 a month times millions and millions of people. And then we won, and we won by a lot. And they wanted to go out, and they still haven't raised it. They're trying to raise $28 million. They cannot raise 10 cents. It's good to win, I will tell you. It's really good to win, but they can't raise money. But I told my people the morning after. Now, normally, because we have so many donors here and so many people that I love and respect, a lot of great friends of mine, but I told my people, Meredith and Susie, by the way, how good is Susie? The Ice Maiden. Where is the Ice Maiden? She is so great. She is so great. Stand up, Susie. The Ice Maiden, ladies and gentlemen. Wow, look at that. Most powerful woman in the world, they say. Most powerful woman in the world. She's made of ice. She's great. No, when I came to Florida, Florida was a Democrat state, had a Democrat governor. They had one Democrat senator. It was largely a Democrat state. And through various reasons, I ended up with Susie running the campaign, and she was unbelievable. We won it in a landslide. And then the second time, we won it in an even bigger landslide. And when it came time to choosing somebody to run the campaign, the whole campaign, I said, what about Susie from Florida? She never lost. I won every primary. I won every. I didn't lose anything. And it was a Democrat state. And it was a landslide both times. And all of the Republican stuff was almost like it didn't even exist. It was amazing. I said, what about Susie? Well, sir, a woman has never been in this position before. I said, really? Oh, by the way, we have Kellyanne Conway. She didn't do too badly either, right? She did a great job, 2016. And when it came time to chief of staff, do you know that there has never been a woman chief of staff? But there is now. There is now, right? I didn't know that. I'm so surprised. I'm very surprised. But it came time to running the campaign, and I said, well, I've never had a loss with Susie. She comes from great stock, Pat Summerall is her father. Pat Summerall was a football player, great football player, but a really great announcer, really the voice of the NFL for 27 years or something. He was great, and a leader. He worked with John Madden, and he was able to get John Madden to do things that nobody else could do. they'd call him, they'd say, Pat, John is really difficult. Now, John was a difficult guy, but he got big ratings and he was good. And Pat would go up, come on, John, let's get this done. Come on. I know you don't like the heads of the company. Just that's it. They're paying you a lot of money. Come on, John, let's get it done. And he'd go and do it. And this went on for 27 years, right? But he was a leader, her father. And, this is somebody that has the gene. I'll tell you, she's great. And she's done a fantastic job. So she was so good with the campaign. I said, let's let her do the campaign. And it was flawless. And again, I said before, we had her win a lot of votes because it's crooked as hell. And I hope you can go to voter ID and same-day voting and paper ballots and all of those things, because ultimately we'll never lose a race if you do that. I'm telling you, you'll never lose a race. And I hope you can get that. And that's said to the governors mostly, but you people have a lot of power over it. But Susie ran the race and we did phenomenally. And then we just made her the chief of staff and she's doing great. They say it was the greatest opening week in presidential history. And I think, couldn't be a hell of a lot better. Even CNN is saying, this guy is amazing. I couldn't believe it. I said, did CNN really say that? Because nobody watches, so nobody was able to confirm it. But it was pretty amazing. Oh, the camera just went off. It's always tough. Usually you get them by surprise. But I just want to thank everybody. We're going to make this tremendously successful. I believe we're going to have one of the greatest 4 years in the history of our country. We're going to turn it around quickly, and then we're going to go on and we're going to progress like nobody ever thought possible. And I want to thank these great 4 people because they really are leaders and they're phenomenal people. And I want to thank all of my friends in the audience, many of whom are congressmen and congresswomen and people that have just tremendous talent. Every single one of you, I know every one of you, and you have tremendous talent. And if we stick and if we fight together, there's nobody can stop us. We're going to have, because they have bad policy. Their policy is so bad. Nobody could win with this policy. Nobody. And we have the best policy. And again, as they say, and we say, and I've been saying for a long time, we're the party of common sense. And we're the party that's going to have the best 4 years ever. Thank you very much. Appreciate it.
So what did you think?
Besides the rambling at the end, Pete Hegseth, good choice. The DEI, we're weakening the military, and especially with the COVID. I mean, what happened with the mantra, my body, my choice, when it comes to women, when it comes to getting the AB, but people don't have no choice over taking the vaccine? It's ludicrous.
Yeah, you're a military man. Explain that.
Well, in the military, you have no choice but to take the vaccines on a list. But that jab was experimental. So I don't know what the constitutional stance on that. But when you're in the military, you have no choice. You either take it or you get out. And that's what happened to a lot of service members.
So they force you out?
Yes, and you get other than honorable discharge. But what's funny, what a lot of people didn't talk about, was especially with the pilots. After the pilots had took the jab, they could not pass their physical, a lot of them, to be able to go and fly planes.
And what did they do about that, the pilots?
Oh, well, they were put out on medical discharge.
So now they have, especially when they find out that Dr. Fauci had lied to them about the vaccines, they can all file a class action lawsuit.
I don't know if the military, you can't sue the military.
But you can sue the government.
Yeah.
Right. Okay. That works. Because I get the feeling that there's going to be, and see, this is why Trump needs to find a way to circumvent that preemptive pardon for Dr. Fauci, because he belongs in jail He
Yeah.
belongs in jail, and in all honesty, I think Biden also belongs. He should be. I don't care if he is a doddering old man. Him, Kamala Harris, whoever else that was in the White House that was in charge. Once they find out that all of this was a lie, they should all be brought up on charges because they murdered hundreds of thousands of people. They put people's lives at risk. They pretty much tried to force a poison on people. They literally tried to force a poison on people. That's you. They pretty much tried to create a genocide. Can we be honest?
Yeah, and it kind of coincide with what was that report? The oh God, it was the report everybody was quoting where by 2025, like the world population would be down by a whole lot of people. What was the name of that report? You know what I'm talking about, right, Bay?
Yeah, I know what you're talking about. It was a World Health Organization report with who's that billionaire with the glasses?
Bill Gates.
Bill Gates, right. His name was all over it. And he was doing the experiments in Africa. What's up, Simeon Anderson? He was doing the experiments in Africa. Oh my goodness. Just like with the people out in California, you need to go ahead and file a class action lawsuit against the state of California, also naming Gavin Newsom and what is that woman's name again? Karen Bass. You need to include them in the class action lawsuit for how they for negligence concerning those fires. You need to make the state of California pay to have your houses rebuilt to the way that you want them, if not exactly, or anything else. Matter of fact, I want an extra sunroom. I need an extra bedroom. I need it done. I need it done.
Like negligence and incompetence.
Right, because in all honesty, the guy who was the Indian guy that Trump hired, I'm sorry, y'all.
Kash Patel.
Yeah, Kash Patel. Trump gave him a direct order to go after corrupt politicians in Democratic cities. That was his direct order, his main order of business. So the best way to do that is to follow the money. Follow the government money that you were given or loaned. See where it was spent. Check out your bank accounts. The same thing that they're doing with Tiffany Henyard. You do that with Brandon Johnson, Brandon Scott, Gavin Newsom. Gloria Cantrell. You already got Shane Chow. You already got her. All right. You already got I can picture his face. I can't think of his name. In New York, Eric Adams. You already got him on the fish hook. Okay. You just keep going and going and going. You go after all of them. You bring them down. You clean house. You talk to their deputy mayors and be like, hey, look, this is your golden opportunity because we see your fingerprints are on some of this too. But if you play ball, maybe we'll give you a special pardon. Maybe we'll look the other way, but you have to do what we tell you to do. How about that? Mm-hmm. Or you can join your buddy.
Your choice.
Yeah. You know who the mayor pro temp is in Dalton?
Where? Who?
Jason House. That's
Who's
the Tiffany. That's out in Tiffany Henyard's area. Yeah, Jason House is the mayor pro temp. He's also one of the trustees that's fighting against her, and he's also running for mayor. You can de facto have him in as mayor, I mean, more than likely he's going to win that election, but still, situations like that, I'm using him as an example, where you come in, you retake power, retake control, and then even though whether you are a Democrat or Republican, you do what's right by the people. Get rid of the illegals. Excuse me, not reformat, but rescind the George Floyd Act, rescind your defund the police acts, and you take it back to early 2020, 2019. You start throwing people in jail. Flat out. You have these people on record. You know who your criminals are. You've been giving them bench warrants and tickets and all of this stuff for the past, 4 years? Round their asses up. If they haven't been to trial yet, round them up and then put them before a judge. Let's clean up these cities, clean up these streets, and have it looking like Black Dynamite when he took the drugs off the streets. Oh, come on. You watched the movie with me.
I'm trying to remember.
Remember him and Gloria was walking down the streets and the little girls was jumping rope on the sidewalk and everything?
I only seen the movie once. You got to forgive me, brother.
Oh, it's fine. It's fine. But yeah, you clean up the streets. You make it safe for kids to be outside and everything. It might take about 6 months to a year, but, everything takes time. Everything takes time. Okay. What's the next story?
The Justice Department says it has fired more than a dozen employees who worked on criminal investigations into President Donald Trump. A DOJ official told NBC News that Acting Attorney General James McHenry, quote, does not trust these officials to assist in faithfully implementing the president's agenda, and added that the move is consistent with the Trump administration's mission of ending the weaponization of government.
Yeah, Jack Smith, he stepped down before he got fired. That's a beautiful thing. So, did you want to read this story?
All right, yeah, I'll read it.
All right, here, I'll send it to you.
Wait a minute, I'll just blow my screen up. Hold on. Justice Department fires more than a dozen key officials on former special counsel Jack Smith's team. Acting Attorney General James McHenry, go back up. I ain't finished reading.
Sorry.
Does not trust these officials to assist in faithfully implementing the president's agenda. Now you can go down. The Justice Department is firing more than a dozen key officials who worked on special counsel Jack Smith's team prosecuting President Donald Trump after Acting Attorney General James McHenry said they could not be trusted in faithfully implementing the president's agenda. Fox News Digital has learned. McHenry has transmitted a letter to each official notifying them of their termination. A Justice Department official exclusively told Fox News Digital. Trump to take more than 200 executive actions on one day. It is unclear how many officials received the letter. The names of the individuals were not immediately released. You can scroll down. Go up right there. Today, Acting Attorney General James McHenry terminated the employment of a number of DOJ officials who played a significant role in prosecuting President Trump. A DOJ official told Fox News Digital. In light of their actions, the Acting Attorney General does not trust these officials to assist in faithfully implementing the president's agenda. It's like a repeat. This action is consistent with the mission of ending the weaponization of government, the official told Fox News Digital. The move comes after Justice Department reassigned more than a dozen officials in the first week of the Trump's administration to a sanctuary city task force and other measures. Go down a little bit. Right there. It also comes after Trump vowed to end the weaponization of the federal government. Former Attorney General Merrick Garland appointed Smith a former Justice Department official, as special counsel in November 2022. Smith, a former assistant U.S. attorney and chief to the DOJ Public Integrity Section, led the investigation into Trump's retention of classified documents after leaving the White House and whether the former president obstructed the federal government's investigation into the matter. Smith was also tasked with overseeing the investigation into whether Trump or other officials and entities interfered with the peaceful transfer of power following the 2020 presidential election, including the certification of the Electoral College vote on January 6th of 21. Smith charged Trump in both cases, but Trump pleaded not guilty. The classified records case was dismissed in January 2024 by the U.S. District Court for the Southern District of Florida. Judge Eileen Cannon, who ruled that Smith was unlawfully appointed as special counsel. Smith charged Trump in the U.S. District Court for Washington, D.C. in his 2020 election case, but after Trump was elected president, Smith sought to dismiss the case. Judge Tanya Chuckton granted that request. Is that it?
Yeah. That's it. That's it. You know, and I've been saying last year during the whole court case thing that it was political. It was political theater. It was BS. Now you got people running around 34-time convicted felon. Like, convicted of what? Convicted of what? They couldn't even tell you. They'll say grape, and it's like, nope, wasn't convicted of grape. Just act CNN. And was it Wolf Blitzer? Who got sued? It was CNN
by Trump.
Yeah, it was CNN and one of their news anchors.
And I know ABC too. Yeah.
Now you've got AOC running around calling him a grapist. I'm like, okay, go ahead. When it lands on your desk, when the process server comes to lay the paperwork on your desk, don't act surprised. Because you're next. They're going to drum you out. They're going to drum out Jasmine Crockett, and they're going to drum out that bald-head chick out in Massachusetts. They're not playing with you.
Stop messing with politically challenged individuals.
Yeah. It has now been 7 days. Does it look like Trump is playing games with anybody?
Nope.
He doesn't care what the courts have to say. He doesn't care what pundits on TV has to say. He got on his pool kicking boots, and they are covered. They are covered all the way up past the ankle in poo. Speaking of which, LA port smuggling bust announced by feds.
My name is Joe McNally. I'm the acting United States Attorney for the Central District of California. I'm joined here by Homeland Security Special Agent in Charge, Eddie Wong, and Cheryl Davies, the Director of Field Operations for Los Angeles Customs and Border Protection. We're here today to announce federal criminal charges against 9 defendants who worked with partners in China to operate a criminal network that illegally smuggled what we estimate to be more than $200 million worth of counterfeit goods from China into the United States through the ports of Los Angeles and Long Beach. The Los Angeles and Long Beach ports are the busiest container ports in the Western Hemisphere. Ensuring the integrity of who and what comes into our country is critical to our border security and ultimately to our national security. The 9 defendants charged in the indictment participated in a wide-ranging scheme to circumvent inspections at the ports of Los Angeles and Long Beach. The scheme involved logistics companies, warehouse owners, and corrupt truckers. They worked as criminal partners to defy U.S. customs laws, to illegally smuggle enormous quantities of goods from China into the United States. 8 of the 9 defendants have been arrested. One defendant, the lead defendant, who orchestrated the scheme, is a fugitive and is believed to be in China. Let me talk to you about how the scheme worked. As part of the scheme, the defendants and their criminal partners in China filled shipping containers with contraband, counterfeit goods, illegal and dangerous chemicals, and other contraband that is not permitted to be imported into the United States. U.S. law requires that all containers coming into the United States be sealed with a locked security seal that is assigned a unique number. This is a security system. Containers from the time they leave China cannot be opened until they arrive in the United States and clear the Customs and Border Patrol inspection process. And the seals are key to that security process. Members of this scheme in the United States and China evaded this security system by learning in advance the unique serial numbers assigned to these seals that would be associated with their illegal shipments. And they created duplicate fake seals in order to circumvent the inspection process. They would create those duplicate fake seals in China, and they would send them from China to their criminal partners here in the United States. When the shipments arrived at the port here in Long Beach and Los Angeles, U.S. Customs and Border Protection would direct, as part of their normal process, that some of those containers go to secondary inspection. Those secondary inspection sites are a short distance from the port. Instead of taking the containers from the port to those secondary inspection sites, members of the scheme, including the corrupt truck drivers, would instead take the contraband shipments to off-site warehouses. At those warehouses, according to the indictment, members of the conspiracy would open up and cut those seals, take out the contraband contained in those shipping containers, and ultimately put a new counterfeit seal on the containers and then pass them to CBP for inspection. Members of the scheme would then have the containers, now smuggled with the illegal goods, inspected by CBP, and they presented them just like they had come straight from the port complex. The truck drivers involved in the scheme were often paid 10 times the normal rate, and sometimes much more, to illegally transport the containers to a warehouse before inspection. During the investigation, law enforcement identified that Chinese co-conspirators were sending these seals into the United States, these counterfeit seals, and they were able to intercept around 50 counterfeit seals. Law enforcement then linked those counterfeit seals to inbound shipments, intercepted those shipments, and removed the contraband inside. Items of contraband include chemicals such as R22, tens of millions of dollars in counterfeit merchandise, unapproved food and other types of drugs that pose consumer risk. During this investigation into this smuggling, federal authorities seized roughly $130 million worth of contraband. And we conservatively estimate that the defendants who are charged here and their criminal partners in China smuggled more than $200 million worth of goods into the United States. We have charged the defendants here with serious federal crimes. That includes smuggling, taking off using counterfeit seals, and conspiracy. If convicted, they face substantial federal prison sentences. The 7 smuggling charges contain a penalty of up to 20 years in federal prison. Smugglers harm our economy by introducing counterfeit items into our markets and robbing U.S. taxpayers of millions of dollars in revenue. Prohibited and unregulated items coming into the United States threaten the health and well-being of our citizens. And smugglers threaten our national security by allowing dangerous items to enter without detection. Let me end where I started, and that is that our border and port security is critical to our national security. And we'll continue to work with our law enforcement partners here to hold accountable individuals that attempt to violate the security of our ports and our borders. I want to thank our law enforcement partners, the special agents with the Homeland Security investigations who helped bring this case and bring it quickly. Our partners at the U.S. Customs and Border Protection who identified and alerted our partners to the criminal activity here. Coast Guard Investigative Service for their support of the investigation, and the individuals that worked on this case. That includes AUSA's Colin Scott and Amanda Elbegin from my National Security Division, as well as special agents from Homeland Security, Martina Diono and Han Yit. I'll now turn it over to Eddie Wong, the special agent in charge for Homeland Security investigations here in Los Angeles.
Thank you, Joe. Good morning. My name is Eddie Wong, and I'm the special agent in charge for Homeland Security investigations here in Los Angeles. Behind me today is one half of the nation's largest and busiest seaport complexes. It is estimated that about 30% of all international seaborne cargo containers entering or exiting the United States traverse through the ports of Los Angeles and Long Beach. Now, with this much activity, transnational criminal organizations have a wide berth to operate and exploit vulnerabilities. And the defendants charged in this indictment took full advantage and are alleged to have smuggled into the United States hundreds of millions of dollars worth of contraband through the port complex. While much of the contraband that we have seized was counterfeit goods, this criminal scheme has exposed a vulnerability that has the potential for much more serious implications, including those regarding national security and the smuggling of precursor chemicals to produce narcotics. So the Department of Homeland Security takes these matters seriously because our primary mission is to ensure the safety and the security of the homeland, all the while facilitating the legitimate trade system and protecting the U.S. supply chain. So I want to thank the dedicated investigators and task force officers from my office, U.S. Customs and Border Protection, Coast Guard Investigative Services, the United States Attorney's Office, as well as the numerous state and local law enforcement partners that participated in this investigation. In closing, I'd like to say that HSI will continue to protect the American consumer, the American worker, and American ingenuity, because economic security is homeland security, and homeland security is national security. Thank you. And now I'll turn it over to DFO Davies.
All right, that's enough of that because you know they're just going to keep talking in circles. What's going on,
You know-
AB?
You
So
know, also, who knows how many potential military equipment has been smuggled over?
No idea.
For the
No
stash.
idea.
Yeah.
What's going on, Ray Hanma? Yeah, it's wild. It's oh my goodness. And the thing about it is that all of this went on up under the Biden administration, right up under their noses. And I guess you know, as long as the big guy got his 10%, that's all that really mattered, right?
Yeah, the big guy.
Yeah, as long as he got his cut, didn't matter.
And you know, Hunter, he gets his booger sugar.
That's part of the deal. And 50 pounds of booger sugar. Let's go to the next story. Usually in those press conferences, everybody stands there and they repeat the same thing, and then they say how they feel about it. There's no point in going too far with it. So here's the next story. Trump's bombshell plan to clean out Gaza as he urges Middle East chiefs to take in Palestinians. But you know what? Hold on. Let's go back to that one story. And see, do understand this is under Gavin Newsom's watch. This is another point of contention where if you are Kash Patel and you're following the money, the DOJ is following the money, you'll find out that there's been a lot of money diverted to shell companies and Swiss bank accounts and Cayman Islands and, you know, et cetera, et cetera, et cetera. And you have enough to charge them.
And
Oh, wait.
you mean like a free
Go ahead.
tickets to Epstein Island?
Yeah. Things of that nature. Somebody said Melania, now that Trump is in his second term, she's on him like she's Secret Service. Like, what does she have up under that coat? Like 2 Glocks? Because of these glasses. It's funny. All right, let's get to it. All right, so Donald Trump revealed his radical plan to clean out Gaza as he urged neighboring Eastern nations to take in Palestinians. Spoke about his bombshell idea for the region as the fragile ceasefire between Hamas and Israel continues to get to its second.
I said to him, I'd love you to take on more because I'm looking at the whole Gaza Strip right now and it's a mess. It's a real mess.
Jordan to house people from Gaza.
To take people, I'd like Egypt to take people. I'm talking to General El-Sisi tomorrow, sometime I believe. And I'd like Egypt to take people and I'd like Jordan to take people. You're talking about probably 1.5 million people, and we just clean out that whole thing. It's it's over the centuries that's many conflicts at site, and I don't know. It's something has to happen, but it's literally a demolition site right now. Almost everything's demolished.
What do you think he meant by that? What's up, BJ?
Resettling the Palestinians, and it goes to Greater Israel.
That's what I was thinking. They're going to clean it out, rebuild it, turn it over to Israel, and therefore it's exactly what it looks like. They use this whole strike to clean out the Gaza Strip and to finally complete their hostile takeover, their slow and steady hostile takeover of Palestine. That's how it came across, and that's exactly what it looks like. Like it
What's
is.
gonna happen?
Yeah, that's exactly what's happening. Yeah, take these people in. Like, wow. Like, okay. But to us, we were told that it wasn't the G word. It wasn't a genocide, but I guess it was. It was moving day. Is that what we're calling it? It was moving day?
Of course.
Move or be moved?
You know.
Wow. All right, let's get on to the next one.
And there we have, frankly,
We have here border crisis. America will destroy cartels. So 2 days ago that the cartels will take out the U.S. Army. And I was like, are you joking? Like, you're talking about a bunch of poorly trained so-called military servicemen who have joined with the cartels, former police officers, and also just, local denizens out in the field who have taken up with cartels who think that they're tough. What is your take on the cartels?
Well, I go by the number one rule: never underestimate your enemy. These cartels have generated billions of dollars off of the drugs they smuggled, and they do buy high-end weapons, and they do send their people out for training. I would not take them lightly. And remember, if we're going to go after the cartels, we're going in their environment. And if you're really going to take them out, you're going to have to drop bombs on them.
Exactly.
But that's not going to happen. So if you send humans in, it's going to be a bloodbath all around. Because one, they know the terrain. This could be something like Vietnam and Afghanistan all in one. I would not take it lightly. We will most likely come out on top, but it will be a lot of bodies. Never underestimate your enemy.
Yeah, my thinking is you talk with, they're already in talks with the president of Mexico.
Control Mexico. So they practically control the Mexican government. So
right. Like, I'm talking to the Mexican president. I'm like, look, do you want us to stop the cartels by any means necessary in the cartel area or not? Yeah, it's a yes or no. It's a yes or no. You give me the green light, I guarantee you I'll have this situation under control before I'm even out of office. She says yes. Good luck. Good luck.
But here's the thing too. You take one cartel out, another one will rise up.
Yeah, I know. Yeah, I've heard that. You cut off the head of the snake, 6 more will, take its place. They're like Hydra. But you can't let them, you cannot let them, you can't let them exist. Flat out. You can't let them exist. They kill more people than the drugs that they push. And that's ridiculous. I understand it's the government's underground economy, as far as drugs, especially cocaine, weapons, human trafficking, etc. If you're not hooked in, then you're out of the ball game. You're out of the playing field. But you got to do something. You've got to do something. Unless you sit down with these guys, which will never happen, you're not even looking to try to do that. Then you've got to do something.
But you got to look at it too. They're right on the border of the United States. And they could get to anybody. It's like, you live in Texas, you're a high-ranking official. I go to your kid's school, take your kids and your wife. I'll be like, hey, bae, I want you to shoot. Take this gun and take a shot at Donald Trump. If you don't, your kids and your wife die. Now, then what do you do? Because the cartel is here in the United States also. And that's the tactics they use down in Mexico.
Yeah, well, that's why you know, when you're a senator or a congressman or whatnot, or a mayor, your children, your wife and children don't go anywhere, you know, like they're me or you. Just Scooby Dooby Doo walking through life. They supposed to have a security detail, even if it's just one officer. They're supposed to have a security detail, especially down there along the border states too. Come on, supposed to have security detail. You put nothing past. What was that? It was James Bond. As M said, like, it's fine to watch our enemies, but we also need to keep a close eye on our friends. When they found out they had a spy in MI6, because the guy they didn't know that the guy who turned traitor, it was pretty much the same scenario in which you talked about. Supposedly holding the girlfriend hostage, only to find out that the girlfriend was not a hostage. She was a willing participant. Oh no, not it wasn't the girlfriend, it was the boyfriend. It was the first one. Remember the first one? Casino Royale.
I never seen Casino Royale.
Oh my God, we've got to have another movie night. We have got to have another movie night. Let me be quiet. All right, let's get this on.
No margin of error because of our margins in the House, which is why we're here together to try to come up with how we can get a very ambitious agenda done in a very short order, a quick timeline. I'm confident we'll get it done because we have a president who is a no nonsense, not willing to accept not getting things done, and I think you have a mandate from the American people. But again, our margins are very, very slim. And these are complex, difficult issues, but I'm actually very confident that we'll get it done.
I share my colleagues' views that this conference is really going to be about what we're going to do with reconciliation, keeping the president's promises, keeping our promises, demonstrating to the American people that we can indeed govern. We do have very slight majorities, and so people ask me, well, what's the difference between this Congress and the last Congress when we also had the majority in the House? Is that we have President Trump. And President Trump wants his agenda passed. We want to pass President Trump's agenda because it's good for America. And we have to put our differences aside and not stop thinking about ourselves and start thinking about the country as a whole. And on the reconciliation package, I am sure there are going to be some things in that package that I may not like personally, but on the whole, the package is going to be good for America, and we need to move it forward. And so we need to extend the Trump tax cuts. If not, we're going to have the largest tax increase in American history. We have to secure our border. We have to make America energy dominant. We have to stop this unnecessary regulation that's holding America and Americans back in our economy, and a whole slew of other things that we need to tackle in that reconciliation. And so I know that that's the purpose of why we're here, why the president is here, why our speaker is here, to unite us and get us rowing in the same direction.
Can you both weigh in on what's going on right now, the immigration sweeps? We have, in the last day, reported on a couple of people who have been convicted criminals who have been taken into custody. Both of them have been convicted and living here for at least 20 years. So I'm wondering if you know or can weigh in on, I mean, that's 5 or 6 presidential administrations. Why is it possible now? And I remember President Trump in 2019 did this as well.
Right.
But why is there a 20 or 30 year lag for people to be in that limbo without being taken out?
We know that there are millions of people who are here unlawfully, including, 1.3 million who already have their orders to be taken out of the country. Among those, we also know that there are severe criminals, serious criminals that have, by the way, been recently allowed into the United States. And to your point, there may be others who have been here for a long time who are, again, career criminals. And I think what's changed is, again, that President Trump got here this time, not only with a strong mandate to do what he said he was going to do, But unlike the first time, he now also understands, and you can see it, the importance of putting his people in there immediately to get the agenda done immediately. The first 4 years of President Trump, well, the first 2 years, by the way, the bureaucracy was in the way. It took him 2 years to kind of figure that out and get his people in there. Well, he learned from that first experience, and you're seeing that rather dramatically now. He's taking more aggressive steps as far as putting people in, getting people out of the way that are obstacles to the America First agenda. The America First agenda is safety, prosperity, so I think experience is part of that. This is a president who, again, he was in the White House for 4 years, learned how to do things, how to get things done, and he's using that experience in a very effective way in just now 1 week in office.
I have a different take on it. I think that that actually the disastrous policies of the last 4 years of President Biden have actually put a spotlight on immigration and the immigration problem here in the United States. And frankly, the American people have said, okay, enough. And so if there is a deportation order, if we are indeed a country of laws, then we need to follow our laws. And so ICE is doing the job it's supposed to be doing, which is once you have a deportation order, then you're supposed to carry out that deportation order. Now, in my druthers, I'd rather actually have those that are more recent. Okay, will go first, but also it all depends on the nature of the crime and the crime that you committed while you were here. And so I don't have the details of that. But again, all this talk and this problem with immigration came about because of the last 4 years of the Biden administration and their total lack of following law and their wide open doors wide open policy of anybody can enter the United States, and that was a huge factor in President Trump winning the presidency. And also it was his promise. So the things that he's doing are the things he said he was going to do. Unlike many politicians who tell you, promise you the moon and give you nothing, this president is actually carrying out on his promises. And that's why we're here too, because there's a lot of promises that are going to take Congress's congressional action in order to implement. And he wants to make sure that he gets that accomplished. And frankly, most of us ran on that same platform. And so it's the promises that we made to our constituencies too that we need to accomplish it.
The head of Chicago.
I don't think he's a friend of the previous administration. What do you think? Hello.
Hold on 1 second, Bay. I got an important phone call. Sorry about that.
Go ahead.
Give me 1 second.
I'll handle it. So, BGS, let's see. So, yeah, we won't know the full Trump effect till the first 100 days are finished. Yeah, I cannot wait to see what it's going to look like after the first 100 days because, again, it does not look like Trump is coming here to tap dance and soft shoe and, go back and forth debating and, playing footsies under the conference table or anything. They're kicking indoors, dragging folks out by their hair. Like, he don't want to hear none of that. They are getting it done.
I'm back, Bay.
Yeah. So what do you think about
Well, with this kicking the immigrants out, I believe it when I see it because a lot of industries they knowingly use illegal immigrants for cheap labor. And at the end of the day, these politicians, they answer to these corporations. So if he's really going to stand on his square with this, he's going to be pissing off a lot of corporations. I think what he's probably going to do to save face is get rid of all the criminal elements and probably do some type of backdoor amnesty for the people that just come here for trying to make an honest living.
Yes,
but you're not going to get rid of 14 million illegal immigrants. I don't see that happening.
Right.
I'm very skeptical on that.
Remember I was saying that the most humane way to deal with this, get rid of the criminals and the people who have been here at least longer than 6 months that aren't living off of the system, that actually have jobs, they don't have criminal records, they're paying, they're not using fake social security numbers and all of that stuff. They're not committing any type of crimes outside of just being an illegal immigrant.
Yeah.
You give them, like, here, look, here's the U.S. citizenship book. 6 months, report down to the courthouse. We'll send you the date. Come down there, come take your citizenship test. You pass it, you stay. You fail, you got to go. Unfortunately, if you really want to be here, you'll break your neck. It's written in English and Spanish. We would appreciate it if you worked on your English. If you need to take English classes, there's numbers and all of this stuff in the back of the booklet that'll help you out. That way you get to keep your job, where you work, and then you pass the test, you can get your health care, everything that you need as if you were a U.S. citizen. All right. I would say one of the best fast tracks for people like that is to join the U.S. military. You serve in the U.S. military for 4 years. You keep your nose clean, et cetera, et cetera, et cetera. That's a fast track to getting your U.S. citizenship. But be ready to come when we call. And please do not step out of line, or we will throw your ass in jail. Is that not humane?
Oh, of course. Of course.
Yeah. So it's not like,
and we could do like an exchange program too. We could get rid of our Pookies and Keishas and send them, do a criminal trade program. Yeah, send them down to El Salvador prison. Here you go.
Good Lord. Good Lord. Yeah, but unlike AOC, who thinks that he's deporting American citizens too with her dumb self. Oh God, that woman is retarded. I wish they could deport her too, since they're deporting U.S. citizens. You're not listening to what Tom Holmes is saying. We're going after the violent criminals first. The rest we'll talk about. All right, let's move on. ICE confirms enhanced targeted operations in Chicago. Because their mayor, that coon mayor that they have, Brandon, don't get me started.
Schools is clarifying what led to a mix-up at a local elementary school on Friday. So Secret Service agents showed up at the school, and the district mistakenly reported that they were immigration agents.
Well, new this morning, we have an additional response from the district and a Secret Service spokesperson. NBC5's Jen Schatz is in studio now with exactly what happened. And Jen, we just learned some new information.
That's right, Patrick. We did. Now, earlier this morning, we told you the Department of Homeland Security is comprised of several federal agencies, ICE being one of them, the Secret Service being another. Earlier this morning, a Secret Service spokesperson just clarified to NBC5 that their agents' credentials say both Homeland Security and Secret Service. Here's what CEO of CPS, Pedro Martinez, told us yesterday about Friday's incident at Hamline Elementary.
These were Homeland Security agents, and they show their badges. They flash their badges as Homeland Security agents.
Now, according to that Secret Service spokesperson who we heard from this morning, their badges only say United States Secret Service. Agents do not carry credentials which only say Homeland Security. Based on that, it should be clear which agency they represent. However, the staff member who spoke with them, according to Martinez, genuinely believed she was speaking with ICE agents. According to the Secret Service, their agents identified themselves to the school principal and left business cards.
Can I say this right now?
Go ahead.
Fire both of them. The principal and whatever idiot thought that she was talking to ICE agents. Fire both of them immediately. Because that's Secret Service. If Secret Service is knocking on your door, What does that mean? That they're coming to confiscate somebody's 15-year-old because their parents are here illegally? Is that what they really thought?
No. Either it's something to do with counterfeiting money or threats against people in the upper echelon of government. Because I had Secret Service come to my job plenty of times over counterfeit money, and Secret Service also handles counterfeit money, if you don't know.
This is what happens when you watch CNN, MSNBC, ABC, The View, that whole Democratic media outlet. When you're caught up in that bubble, you, especially if you're of low IQ, you get caught up. You do stuff like this. You have no. What if they were coming to investigate somebody who issued a bomb threat online?
Yeah.
And then you didn't let them in. And then 2 days later, one of the students sets off a bomb in the school. And it comes out that Secret Service was looking for this kid. They disappeared for 2 days before they set off the bomb, only to find out that he was camped out in the school's basement the whole time.
That'd be a big boo-boo. That would be a big boo-boo.
Yeah, that's why if I'm the parents or the school board, I want you to, you're out of, both you and the principal and you're fired. Get out of here. Get out of here. We don't play those stupid games like that.
She clearly felt that it was an ICE agent. She really felt that, and she was sincere. By the way, we don't have any confirmed evidence that there was any cards left. I'm not saying that they didn't, but we just don't have any confirmed evidence. We've checked that. We just don't.
Really? What did the principal do with the card? Do you think she threw the card away?
Of course.
Mm-hmm. Dumbass.
You'd rather evidence of my fuck up.
Oh my God. Incompetence.
Your people.
Low IQ incompetence. I'm sorry. Yes, you were saying something?
Nah, your people.
Now, Martinez is calling this an unfortunate misunderstanding. He's also asking for empathy for district families who he says have been hearing rumors of possible ICE sightings recently. Nationally, the numbers show ICE arrests are on the rise right now. This past Thursday, agents arrested 538 undocumented immigrants from around the country, doubling the daily average from September. And Chicago, as we just told you about, has been one of the cities President Trump has said would be a focus of his planned immigration crackdowns. The Secret Service agents were at a home in Back of the Yards on Friday. That's near Hamline Elementary. They were investigating a threat against President Trump over a TikTok ban. As part of that probe, they also visited the school. Again, this incident was not immigration related. Patrick, Lisa,
backing up that truck.
Today is Sunday, January 26th. I'm Lisa Chavarria.
And I'm Patrick Fazio. We start with breaking news of an immigration enforcement operation here in Chicago this morning. The Department of Justice just shared this photo of top Trump administration officials somewhere here in Chicago. It shows Acting Deputy Attorney General Emil Bove and border czar Tom Homan observing immigration enforcement ops here in Chicago. Now, last week, Department of Homeland Security said in a memo, state and local officials who do not cooperate with stepped-up immigration enforcement could face federal prosecution. Governor Pritzker just responded this morning on CNN saying he intends to cooperate with efforts to deport those accused of violent crimes.
Good job, Fred.
We're going to follow the law in Illinois and federal law, too. We expect them to do the same. I'm very afraid that they will not follow the law.
Governor Pritzker also says he will enforce Illinois' sanctuary state laws that set limits on cooperation between local law enforcement and federal ICE agents. And nationally, the numbers show ICE arrests are on the rise. This past Thursday, agents arrested 538 undocumented immigrants across the country. That's double the daily average from September. And Chicago has been one of the cities President Trump has said would be a focus of his planned immigration crackdowns.
I You know what? Trump is just playing. He ain't really trying to arrest no daggone illegal immigrants. This is all fake. It's CGI.
Fake news.
Yeah, it's fake news.
Good evening and thanks for joining us. I'm Natalie Martinez. We are learning more today about an immigration enforcement operation right here in Chicago. Acting Deputy Attorney General Emil Bove and the Trump administration border czar Tom Homan were in the city this morning to observe operations here. Our Courtney Sisk has the story.
Which goes to what President Trump's been saying from day one. We're going to concentrate on public safety threats first, and that's what we're doing here today.
Trump administration border czar Tom Homan had boots on the ground in Chicago Sunday, overseeing an immigration enforcement operation in the area.
There's a lot of targets, a lot of teams out there looking. I can tell you, last time I looked at the board, I think we got 6 people with serious sex offenders. We got at least 2 or 3 TDA members, gang members, 2 illegal aliens that were convicted of murder, homicide, and aggravated sexual battery, aggravated assault. So some bad guys.
He says there will likely be collateral arrests because of Chicago's sanctuary city policies.
In a sanctuary city, if we can't get the bad guy in jail, we're going to go to the community and find him, which we're doing today. And when we find him, if they're with others or here illegally, they're going to.
Governor J.B. Pritzker weighed in on CNN Sunday morning on how Illinois will handle and cooperate with ICE operations.
Well, let me start by being clear that when we're talking about violent criminals who've been convicted and who are undocumented, we don't want them in our state. We want them out of the country. We hope they do get deported. And if that's who they're picking up, we're all for it. We also have a law in the books in Illinois that says that our local law enforcement will stand up for those law-abiding, undocumented people in our state who are doing the right thing.
Multiple agencies joined in on the operation this weekend in Chicago, including the DEA, FBI, and U.S. Marshals to assist the Department of Homeland Security in their immigration enforcement efforts. Even TV personality Dr.
This one that we're working on starting in just a few hours is to get these bad actors off the street, these known violent criminals out of the community. How could anybody disagree with that?
It's unclear if any additional enforcement actions will happen Sunday night. According to ICE statistics, the agency made 286 arrests across the country on Saturday and nearly 600 arrests the day before. In Woodlawn, Courtney Sisk, NBC 5 News.
And coming up on NBC Nightly News, NBC's Gabe Gutierrez has more from his one-on-one interview with border czar Tom Homan. That's coming up right after this at 5:30. Meanwhile, Colombia has rejected U.S. military flights carrying migrants. 2 military aircraft carrying about 80 Colombian migrants each had departed from California. Colombia insists it won't accept such flights until the Trump administration creates a protocol that treats migrants with dignity.
By the way, I don't know if this, because I haven't watched this news segment, but Colombia reversed their decision when Trump hit them with tariffs. Yeah. So then they sent their own planes to go get their own people back. And it says a lot about these countries that don't want their own citizens back, because they know they sent us the worst of the worst. They literally emptied their prisons and sent them to America with the stipends. Like, this was not a joke. Why else would you not want them back? Why do I have to threaten to screw up your money for you to come and for you to accept your own citizens? And then say something stupid to me about, you need to treat them with respect. I'm giving them back to you. You respect them. These are your people. What do you mean? I need to treat your people with respect. I'm sending them back to you. That's the most respectful thing I can do for them. Am I lying?
No, not at all, because you know what I do?
I'm listening.
I put a parachute on all of them since we're using military planes. C-17s.
Go.
Secretary of State Marco Rubio says Colombia's president authorized all the flights and cancellation authorization happened once they were in the air. President Donald Trump announced sweeping retaliatory measures in response. In a post on Truth Social, Trump says he ordered 25% tariffs on all goods coming into the U.S., and that would be raised to 50% in 1 week. Then hours later, Colombia's president ordered a similar tariff increase. Other measures taken by the U.S. include visa sanctions on government officials and allies, plus enhanced customs inspections. And tonight, opponents of President Trump are taking their fight to the courts. 4 groups of Chicago-based immigration advocates are suing the Trump administration. They claim raids targeting Chicago are in retaliation for the city's sanctuary status and that the raids violate the First and Fourth Amendments of the Constitutions. The groups filed the lawsuit yesterday ahead of today's ICE operations.
We have a rich history here of organizing. So we sued Just Futures Law on behalf of 4 organizations here based in Chicago who have been working to make Chicago a welcoming city and feel like these raids are a direct attack to the organizing and the political advocacy they've been doing to keep immigrant communities safe.
Can I say this right quick?
Sure, go ahead.
When you get these bleeding hearts talking silly like this, you know what you do? The criminals that you've rounded up, the rapists and the murderers and whatnot, be like, here, well, then we're putting them in your neighborhood. I can't force them to live with you, but I'm going to put them in your neighborhood. We're going to give them tents. We're going to give them tents and sleeping blankets, and we're going to dump them in your neighborhood. Since you love them so much, here they are. Here they are. Oh, you don't like that? Yeah. You know what do we call that? Putting your money where your mouth is? Is that what we call that?
Hello?
Yeah.
Say that again.
I said it.
Ever since all my friends are finding out that somebody got killed in front of my store, now
they
everybody
blowing up
wants
your phone?
me.
No, I was saying.
Are you okay? Yeah, I picked up the fucking phone.
Like, it's Monday. Y'all should know I don't work on Mondays.
Unfortunately, I have a lot of smooth brains for friends.
It happens.
Okay.
No, but I was saying I would put all of these people that they call themselves wanting to protect, I would dump them in these people's neighborhoods, like on their direct street.
No, I will force them to live in a house.
Well, you can't force them to live in the house, but you can dump them in their neighborhood. Trust me, I would love for them to move into the guest bedroom. 6 dudes in the guest bedroom. Oh, and by the way, since you're so into men being in women's spaces, they all identify as female. So, we're gonna take the lock off your bathroom door.
And she probably has a pink Jeep also.
Hot pink. I swear these people are silly. But they're talking like that because there's money involved. Or they're just that dumb.
And the advocacy groups are now requesting an emergency federal court hearing. And today, activists held a Know Your Rights workshop in Woodlawn to explain immigrant rights and protections and how to engage with law enforcement. The undocumented community is, of course, on high alert and fear that they could be profiled and targeted.
We are educating both Black and Brown communities, both in English and in Spanish, regarding their rights. It's just vitally important that they know their rights. And it's also vitally important that they not provoke law enforcement agencies to do any harm.
Today's event took place at Concord Missionary Baptist Church in Woodlawn. And you can always find new developments on immigration enforcement in the Chicago area at...
I'm a little miffed at that black dude trying to help out illegals when Brandon Johnson has tried to raise people's property taxes, pretty much tried to do a land theft by trying to raise people's property taxes, taking away ShotSpotter, the catch and release program. Chicago was being financially destroyed crime is off the charts, and you're sitting up here talking about some. Well, I'm trying to tell these people about their race.
Well, everybody's gonna get their wake up call soon. They'll learn.
I swear to God, man.
They will learn.
Dummycrats.
Welcome back, everybody. President Donald Trump doubling down on his campaign promise to crack down on illegal immigration. And those marching orders answered with some action. Yesterday, ICE arrested 956. That's up from 593 Friday and 286 Saturday. So deportations meeting sort of a bump over the weekend.
This is Colorado. Remember they had that situation in Aurora?
Yeah.
Where the gangs took over the apartment complex. Let's see what happened over there.
Colombia refused to allow a U.S. military plane to land. On board, and you see them marching there, deported migrants. Now, in response, the president threatened a 25% tariff on Colombian goods into the United States, threatened a travel ban, and a visa reversal for Colombian government officials and allies. That threat by today looks to have worked. Look at what the White House said overnight. The government of Colombia has agreed to all of President Trump's terms, including the unrestricted acceptance of all illegal aliens from Colombia returned from the United States, including on U.S. military aircraft.
They folded like a poker hand.
Yep.
Without limitation or delay.
They listen to that Kenny Rogers song.
No way to walk away.
Close quote. So we have team coverage on these developments. Lilia Luciano in New York, Camila Montoya Galvez in Washington, D.C. But let's first of all start with you, Lilia. You have reporting on arrests outside of Denver quickly before we talk about Colombia.
That's right, Reed. Well, this is one of many operations that, as you mentioned, have been happening through the weekend. The number of people arrested by ICE and other collaborating agencies through the weekend was vast, especially on Sunday. It tripled the average daily arrests under the Biden administration. All hands on deck. What we know is that there was an early morning or middle of the night, basically, raid in Denver where the DEA and HSI and ICE agents were.
Damn, you see that? You see this chick right here? Hold on.
Yeah.
Back it up just a little bit. Yeah, right here in the middle.
Yeah.
She looked like she was probably at work.
Yeah.
She in the zip tie. She got her little work clothes on, her purse, out in the cold. I know she is freezing. At least throw a blanket on this woman, man. Come on.
HSI and ICE agents went in and arrested around 50 people. They said, according to the DEA, that the 50 people were undocumented, although we've reached out to that Denver DA field office to get a little bit more clarity on how that investigation was carried out, whether DEA was the lead or if it was ICE who was leading that investigation. They said that drugs, weapons, and cash were seized during the operation. It seems to have been a party that was broken into by these agents, and then that they arrested these 50 people. As we've been reporting in the past, and as we know, there has been a great deal of talk in Denver, and there have been arrests in the past of people who are associated, according to the federal agency's investigations, associated with Tren de Aragua, which is a criminal gang that was initiated in Venezuela and has had activities across the United States. They
I'll be right back,
accused of running sex trafficking, drug trafficking operations. And so, especially in Denver, these agencies had already been conducting investigations in the past, and we had been reporting on that as well as our affiliate in Denver. But we're trying to get a little bit more clarity from the agencies and comment about, whether this was a longer investigation. As ICE spokespeople have told me in the past, look, these first raids are not going to be just, random or at random raids. They're going to be targeted of people who are known to commit crimes. That said, there's also been reporting about quotas. And when you're talking about quotas of up to 1,200 or 1,500 people a day, that may inevitably lead to more people than those who are known or are under investigation for committing crimes other than immigration-related crimes.
All right, Lillian, while we have you, we've got to ask you about that back and forth between President Trump and Colombian leaders. Get us up to speed on what the now element of this story is, because it looks like quite an about face in not very much time.
Yesterday, I will tell you, Reed, I was nonstop on this, making calls and hearing from people in Colombia, from the private sector to officials to local governments, were all extremely worried. It all started when President Gustavo Petro, the president of Colombia, said, according to Marco Rubio, the plane that was a military US DoD military plane that was on its way to Colombia was already in the air, where it was a repatriation flight, was already on its way to Colombia. According to Marco Rubio, that's when President Petro said, we're not going to receive it. He said that it was because of the dignity, or in the interest of the rights and the dignity of those deportees, those Colombians. So he refused to take it. At that point, the White House, or President Trump, instructed that there would be tariffs starting at 25% and then upping them to 50% if things didn't change next week on Colombian goods. Look, you have to keep in mind that the U.S. is Colombia's most important trading partner. For the U.S., in terms of the U.S. economy, Colombian products make up around 1% of the U.S.'s trades, so it's relevant for the U.S. But it was a massive hit on Colombia. There was a great deal of concern. Then the president of Colombia went on Twitter on basically a tirade, saying all kinds of things, and accusing Trump of discrimination and a lot of other very specific details. But then there were obviously back channel and high level negotiations and diplomatic notes that were being sent back and forth. And finally, very late last night, there was a tweet with a statement from the White House saying that despite everything that the Colombian president had said, and after the Colombian president had also threatened tariffs on U.S. goods and told the Colombian people, no worries, the government will help make Colombian products cheaper so that those U.S. products that will increase in price are not going to affect your pocket. After all of this, there was a tweet with a statement from the White House saying that the Colombian president, that Colombia agreed to all of Trump's terms, including receiving deportees from those military flights. And not only did the White House announce this, but the Colombian president retweeted it, basically agreeing that, yes, we agreed on all terms. After that, I kept watching his Twitter feed. He deleted the retweet, but, definitely made a statement very quietly with no further comment at that point that, yes, everything had been agreed on. What is the impact of this? It's a message. It truly strengthened that kind of credibility of the White House and of President Trump in the region. And I think there's a lot of concern now that things seem to have worked out so well after those threats from the White House, which included taking away the visas of Colombian officials, enhancing checks by CBP of Colombian people coming into the U.S. and of products. I mean, there was a whole list. And then at the end of the day, you see the Colombian president agreeing, and the Colombian foreign minister saying, we overcame an impasse and now we will accept these deportees. It sends a message to countries around the world that, the White House is strong and that these threats work. And so we'll continue reporting on what happens and if this escalates once again, but it was quite an eventful and towards the end confusing series of exchanges there.
Right, you can pick and choose your headlines. We knew President Trump uses tariffs as a bargaining chip through the economic lens. Now we're seeing it used throughout the lens and in the context of immigration's issues. Lilia, always so great to talk to you. Have a great day. Okay.
Can we laugh at people talking about Trump? He don't know what he's doing with these tariffs. It's going to destroy the United States. Blase, blase, boo-hoo. Can we laugh at these people?
Yeah. Well, the media got a bias, so that's what I expect. If they would start praising him or just reporting the news objectively, that's when I'd be concerned. They're doing what I expect them to do.
You can report the news and be unbiased. But that's not what sells. The controversy is what sells. Well, at least it used to sell. But we see, like, over with what's going on with CNN and whatnot, how they're laying off or straight up firing hundreds of people cutting the salaries of their top anchors and whatnot. You got The View getting sued, CNN being sued. Of course, you got Sunny Holston. She's had to read so far, last count, 7 legal notes in a 2-week span. Like, if you can't report the news objectively, then you're they're going to put their foot on your neck. The American people are going to put their foot on your neck as well as the government. Can we just be honest?
Yep.
Yeah. You know, the days of the whole orange man bad, those days are over. You can forget it. Nobody's listening to you. You sound silly when you say that now. Let's go.
Okay, so let's continue the conversation, bringing in CBS News immigration reporter Camila Montoya Galvez. So, Camila, let's drill down on something else you've been reporting about, and that's something called parole-based immigration.
Huh?
Is he albino?
No, I think either he's probably just a pale white guy or a pale Hispanic or whatever. He's pale, but he might also be washed out a little bit because of the lighting.
Let's find out.
Yeah.
Immigrations programs. What are they, and how are they driving the
His
conversation?
haircut is off, though. You see his lineup?
Yeah. Oh.
Hi, Reed. According to an internal memo from the Department of Homeland Security obtained here at CBS News, we can report that immigration officials have been instructed by the Trump administration to stop allowing immigrants into the country under a policy known as parole. That legal authority allows presidents to welcome foreigners who don't have visas on humanitarian or public interest grounds. And the Biden administration really used that parole authority, Reed, at an unprecedented scale, including to discourage people from traveling to the U.S.-Mexico border by offering them a legal way to come here, again, lawfully and in a safe way. And we understand that this move by the Trump administration effectively suspends several parole programs, including a sponsorship initiative for refugees from Ukraine fleeing that Russian invasion of their homeland, and also another sponsor initiative for Cubans, Haitians, Nicaraguans, and Venezuelans who are again sponsored by private American citizens. It also suspends the extension of parole status for Afghan evacuees who were brought here to the U.S. following the fall of Afghanistan and Kabul in 2021 and the takeover by the Taliban of that country. And so this really does underscore, Reed, that this immigration crackdown by the Trump administration is not just limited to illegal immigration, but also extends to legal forms of immigration. We should also note that the Refugee Admissions Program, another legal immigration initiative, has also been suspended by the Trump administration.
So there's also reports I want to ask you about of the Trump administration working out an asylum agreement with El Salvador. What would this mean?
That's right. Sources tell CBS News, Reed, that the country of El Salvador in Central America is working on arranging an asylum agreement with the Trump administration that would allow the U.S. to deport migrants who are not from El Salvador to that country. And so this would be known as a safe third country asylum agreement, and it would empower U.S. immigration officials, including at the U.S.-Mexico border, to essentially block people from seeking asylum in the U.S. and instead direct them to El Salvador to seek asylum there, because that country would be designated as a safe third country. And we are also told that one plan under consideration as part of this initiative would allow the U.S. actually, Reed, to deport Venezuelan gang members, suspected members of the Tren de Aragua Venezuelan gang, to El Salvador to have that country detain them in that region. And of course, El Salvador over the past years has launched a massive incarceration campaign of gangs in that country. So it would be another layer to that effort. And so this is yet another attempt by the Trump administration, Reed, to really forge alliances with countries in the region to crack down on illegal immigration.
CBS News immigration reporter Camila Montoya Galvez, thank you so much for your time. It's good to see you, my friend.
And good evening. Off the top at 6 tonight, federal raids and deportations are ramping up across the country, including right here in South Florida. Nearly 1,000 people were picked up and shipped out of the United States over the weekend.
The crackdown is causing fear among immigrants in South Florida. The line was long today outside the ICE offices in Miramar.
President Trump sending a clear message and making good on his campaign promise to crack down on immigration.
So let's get right over to Local 10's Janine Stanwood. She is live in Southwest Miami-Dade with the local raids taking place and reaction just in from ICE tonight. Janine.
These stepped-up ops started last night, and they continue as we speak. The head of ICE here in South Florida says with a new boss in the White House, there are new goals.
It's a change. It's a change in philosophy. We've generally worked kind of behind the scenes in past, and that is not the vision of this administration. They want us out in front of the cameras.
We're hearing from the head of Immigration and Customs Enforcement's field office in South Florida about the ongoing ramped-up arrests here. This woman with zip ties on her wrists. This man cuffed in Homestead.
Where we're going to go after those that are, circumvented immigration law and who are criminals in violation of that immigration law.
On Sunday, a line of unmarked cars arriving at the immigration facility in Miramar, sources say with some of those taken into custody before they're then sent to holding cells.
I'm very terrified,
This woman says her son is among those in line here where there's a steady stream of people applying for residency and checking in with parole officers, and there is fear of deportation.
Hope for the best. Just leave everything in God's hands.
Records show the man taken into custody in Homestead had a drug trafficking conviction from more than 40 years ago. Sources say he had been waiting for years for a hearing to gain legal status.
We make a discretionary call on every case that we arrest, whether that's a criminal or not a criminal, but we're going to take enforcement action on every individual.
He also says that every case will be looked at individually. These people will get due process. He says in some cases they may have hearings. In other cases, yes, they may be deported. As for that man in Homestead, we did speak to his attorney at this point. No comment. We're in Southwest Miami-Dade. I'm Janine Stanwood, Local 10 News.
World Relief Chicagoland and local refugee organizations were expecting about 140 refugees to arrive in Chicago this month until President Donald Trump stopped the U.S. government-approved arrivals from coming. After spending years in refugee camps, some were hoping to reunite with family members.
We've already had to have very difficult conversations with family members regarding why they are not now coming.
Not only did Trump temporarily halt refugees from arriving in the United States, his administration is also suspending the 90-day resettlement and placement program. With the help of federal funds, nonprofits help refugees resettle in the U.S. during their first 3 months.
You know why that is, right?
Why?
All these people need to be vetted. Because under Biden, they didn't vet anybody.
Okay.
At least not to the level in which they should have. Plus, they let them in. Sure, they turned some people away at the U.S.-Mexican border, but a lot of, if they were vetted properly, there wouldn't be a mass deportation situation going on right now. Same thing with these people. They weren't vetted properly. Like, nope. Go back and we'll have to vet you properly and then decide. Flat out. You're not just going to walk in here simply because, I'm a refugee. Like, you literally flew all the way across the ocean. All those countries you could have chosen, you decided to come here. Why? I'm asking you.
They decided to come here for a better opportunity, and plus it's easier. Free money.
Not anymore. Trump said, "Hey, look, we're the world's sucker. Like we're cutting off the spigot. We're no longer going to be the world's piggy bank or ATM card. We're done." You have to let's be honest, you have to get rid of the debt that you owe China. You have to cut that down. You have to get rid of that. These are your enemies. Why the hell do you owe your enemy trillions of dollars? Why the hell does your enemy control farmland near all of your missile silos here in the United States? That's ridiculous. That's ridiculous. That's not how you do it. Because of Biden, you've opened yourself up to invasion.
Could it be that it was intentional?
Yes. Yes. That's why that interview that I played from 1985 with the Russian defector. That's why I was so critical. He was saying, yeah, like, you destroy the United States from the inside. You decimate. Huh?
Through your schools, you indoctrinate the future generations.
Mm-hmm. Social disorder and chaos, sexual confusion, political dissidence. You let crime run amok. You turn the American citizens against their own country. Next thing you know, you got planes falling out the sky, doors falling off, things don't work, corporations going belly up, stores closing because of rampant crime. You let it eat itself up from the inside. It's a cancer.
And then the most devious one, you destroying your society because you're breaking up your own family structure.
Yeah.
Feminism.
Next thing you know, you're Colombia. You know what I'm saying? You're Brazil. You're Argentina. You're Venezuela. You're the third world country with first world technology.
The goal of that support that has been cut is to help refugees learn English, find a job, and move to self-sufficiency.
World Relief Chicago says close to 190 refugees have arrived in Chicago in the past 3 months. And while the organization is losing the money to help them resettle, Director of Immigrant Services Peter Zichterman says he and his staff will find a way to continue.
We made a commitment and have an ethical obligation to those families to ensure that they are served and cared for. And it leaves us in a position where we're now scrambling to figure out exactly how we can do that.
A refugee is someone that flees their home country because of a founded fear of persecution. They are not undocumented immigrants. They come to the United States legally. Refugees are handpicked by the U.S. government and can spend years in refugee camps while they endure a lengthy vetting process.
Not only are refugees vetted, but these benefits that they get are relatively small, crucial, but small, and within a few years, they're basically huge contributors to our economy.
The Trump administration plans to review the Refugee and Resettlement Program after 90 days. Refugee groups hope they can change the narrative and convince President Trump that refugees contribute to the economy rather than drain it.
Watch breaking news on YouTube. Subscribe to ABC 7 Chicago Eyewitness News.
I doubt it.
Deportations starting around the United States, as we've been reporting to you. ICE, Immigration and Customs Enforcement, now confirming that they are in fact conducting raids in Atlanta. At the same time, local schools and police departments are really hoping to reassure people who are concerned about new immigration policies. And a viewer shared a letter that the Gwinnett County Public Schools Superintendent actually sent to families, promising to provide a safe and welcoming learning environment. That's a direct quote, for students to learn. Both Clayton County and Forest Park police departments posted on social media saying that the rumors that they're working with Immigration and Customs Enforcement are not actually true. ICE says that they're working with the FBI. The departments that I mentioned said that they're not aware of any ICE operations in the county. They add that they're not targeting Hispanic citizens who live or travel through the area. We talked to Georgia's NAACP president, who says that local police have more important priorities.
Wait, hold on. I'm reading this. So they both, Forest Park and Clayton County here in Atlanta, both put out pretty much the same thing. But this jumped out to me. We are asking that if anyone is asked to provide documentation from someone posed as a federal agent or police officer to dial 911 immediately. What are you gonna do as a
for the immigrants?
Yeah.
Most of the police are not intervening. They're not participating in it. So why would you call 911?
Right. I'm trying to figure out what you think the local police gonna do. Come and arrest an ICE agent? That's a sure way for you as the mayor. Because I mean the chief of police is only acting on orders that the mayor would hand down. So you as the chief of police, you really gonna put your career and your freedom on the line?
People are not that bright.
Oh my God. Very, very, oh my God. Very, very stupid.
This is what you call a liberal zealot.
Oh my God. And they would use a black guy to say something. What does he have to say?
I want to see the law enforced in a way that is representative of the fundamentals of this country. We are a welcoming country, and so people should have the opportunity to become.
Can you pause for a moment?
We should not weaponize.
Before he starts talking about government policy, he needs to fix his hairline.
I just work here. I just saw that, and I just work here. I just work here.
You got waves on with a fucked up hairline. I can't take
I just work here, man. This is why girls be complaining about dudes hat fishing them. He be hat-fishing me.
Maybe one of his barbers is like Dominican or something, because they are wicked with the razor. He needs to see a barber. Whoever doing his hair needs to be deported. But
stop getting his hair cut in somebody's kitchen.
Yeah.
Citizens, and we should not weaponize law enforcement in some type of political agenda to demonize individuals.
So local law enforcement agencies are encouraging you to call 911 if someone is posing as a federal agent, or if a police officer asks for documentation. They say that they will send one of their own officers to verify their credentials. So certainly they don't want misinformation in that regard to be passed around as well.
Oh, you know what? I kind of got an idea of why they said that. We're talking about South Georgia. Okay. Those areas, Clayton and what was the other one?
Says that local police.
Forest Park. Clayton and Forest Park of South Georgia. They are outside of 285. You understand?
Democratic strongholds?
No. No, not at all. Outside of 285 here in Georgia, that's where you get back during the Obama administration, where you have troopers that'll whoop your ass for a speeding ticket.
Oh, okay.
Okay, that's them guys who drive them blue cars with the blue uniforms, Georgia State Patrol. Whatnot. That's them good old boys.
Dukes of Hazzard.
Yeah. Remember I was saying how I've said a few times about Billy Bob coming down from the hills?
Yeah.
Yeah, that's them hills. That's in Georgia. That's where them hills are. You don't dick around down there. Them good old boys will put on their little fake little ATF vests and whatnot, and their little, all their little police gear, but not actually be police officers.
Oh, you mean cosplaying as militia?
Yeah, they'll actually be militia, but be cosplaying as ICE agents and federal agents and all that stuff. So now it makes sense now. I had to run that through the
They're getting a Turner Diaries orgasm on.
Exactly. Now it makes sense. I was like, that don't make sense. I get it now. So yeah, you got to be very careful down there. You got to be very careful down there. So, all right, we got. I guess you want to do. Let's see here. That was it.
Oh,
That was it.
oh, good. Under 2 hours.
Yeah, under 2 hours. See that? Yeah, we covered all the stories. We covered all the stories. You've got well, that's 2 years ago. See, so for the record, since we have time now, my original channel, Bitter Truth Show, which is a subsidiary of Embrace Villainy. Well, this morning, YouTube killed my Bitter Truth Show channel. They killed the channel, talking about fraud and deception and scams. And I'm like, okay, I don't sell anything on that channel. It's been demonetized for well over a year. I'm not pretending to be somebody else. The only thing that I really use that channel for is to upload TikTok think pieces and whatnot. So they killed that channel, which blocked me from being able to get into the Embrace Villainy channel, which is still up. The issue is that they shared the same email address, but different passwords. But if I try to log in under that email address, even if I use the different password, they take me right back to the Bitter Truth Show channel. Let me see. I don't want to accidentally put too much info out there, but here, I'll show y'all. See this? This is what I can't change it. I can't switch channels or anything. I can't get into it. It's on appeal. It's on appeal. But this is why I've been saying for a minute, like, yo, you can't let YouTube or these social media apps feed you, because if they decide one day that you may have violated a TOS, or maybe they're just sick of your shit, or you get somebody reporting you, this is what could happen. This is what can happen. And there have been plenty of people who have sat up here on YouTube who've had channels who have cried and boo-hooed because they need that check.
Well, can I make an announcement?
Sure.
Well, I got some good material coming, hopefully out by Wednesday. Today, I caught one of the biggest Manosphere haters, biggest Kevin Samuel haters, has swallowed the red pill. And me and Obsidian was cracking up.
Who is it?
On Clubhouse. Dr. Albert.
Who?
Dr. Albert Higgins. He used to be in the conscious circle with Sonetta and them. And he was cool with Valdez. But he was one of them that went over to Clubhouse and was one of the staunchest proponents of Kevin Samuels and all that. And I just fell upon it by accident. And Obsidian was in the room too. And we were just cracking up, talking to each other about this. Like, oh. It will be out.
Oh, goodness gracious. What is wrong with these people?
Yeah. As BGS said, the environment would change everyone. The internet is going to expose us all.
All it takes is getting burned. You give somebody a good burn, they'll see the light, hopefully. Hopefully. All right, so any closing arguments?
No, not at all. No
All right.
argument. Be good to others, but first and foremost, be good to yourself first. Buy food right now. Like, I might as well use this time. I'm seeing that the prices of food is going up, and people out there, like whatever party you follow, don't get it twisted. This economy is not going to change overnight, and it might get a little worse before it get better. And the prices of food is going up. They're talking about eggs. The prices of eggs ain't going down no time soon. So you know yourself, if you're in the stores and you feeling that pinch and you see the prices still going up, take advantage of all the sales. And if you got extra money, fuck it. Take the money from your party funds and put that shit towards food, dry goods, the store. And it's best to have it and not use it instead of needing something to eat and you don't have it. I'm done.
No, that's fine. All I can say is just, batten down your hatches.
And get them power tools.
Yeah. Batten down your hatches. Batten down your hatches. Make sure everything is everything. Because, oh my goodness. I mean, they're just really getting started with all of this. There was a shootout. For some reason, I don't know why I had that story. But there was a shootout on the border with the cartel and border agents, U.S. border agents. I'll see if I can cover that on the next time we come up. I'm going to also see if I can get the Embrace Villainy channel back.
Can you change the name of this? Can't you change the name of this one to Embrace Villainy?
I can.
Yeah.
And
you know what?
Go ahead.
And some of the people that's subscribed to me that probably wasn't subscribed to this channel, they were subscribed to both Embrace Villainy and mine, but they ain't partaking this. We're, pull all of them in to subscribe to this channel. That's all.
Yeah, I'll have to. Go ahead.
No, and it's a good reminder for me to make me another backup channel, just in case of some effery.
Yeah, I got a few of them. But they're not news channels. They're not news channels. So we'll see. We'll see what happens. I'll give it within 7 days, but this will have to be the main operating channel until I get that sorted out. So Monday, Wednesday, and possibly Friday, I'll be broadcasting from here.
And send me the links and I'll put it on my community board.
What, to this channel?
Yeah, when you're posting it, just in case they're not subscribed to you. I mean,
Oh,
subscribe to Villainous News. So
No, I got it. Yeah. All right, let's get out of here.
Peace.
Peace.
I'm not Captain Saberhole. No, real no. I'm not Captain Saberhole. Yeah, no. Look, I'm not like this in the slightest. I'm attracted to intelligent chicks that think righteous.